Nancy Ann, can you hear me okay?
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome first Todd Bailey, our newly promoted Deputy Fire Chief for the Station 3 Avonmore. So welcome, Todd.
Thank you.
And also would like to welcome Julie Mulcam, who is now Administrative Assistant helping with the fire department. So welcome, Julie. Thank you for helping. And congratulations to Mayor Landry and Deputy Mayor Densham on your newly elected positions, and welcome to the Fire Committee. Craig?
Through the chair, can I be heard okay, Nancy Ann?
Yes, you are.
Perfect. So I'll read the first motion. Be it resolved that this meeting now open at 6:32 p.m. Could I have a mover, please?
Nick?
Nick and Todd?
And Deputy Chief Bailey. All those in favor?
All in favor?
Carried.
Would you prefer us just hands, or do you want us to speak up for?
I had asked Nancy Ann, because of my poor eyesight, that she just indicate who is putting their hands up for me. Thank you, Mayor Landry. Be it resolved that that the agenda be approved as presented. Could I have a mover, please?
Frank,
Mayor Landry, and could I have a seconder, please?
Steve,
Deputy Densham,
All those in favor?
all in favor?
Carried. Could I ask if there's any pecuniary interest?
None.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the following minutes be approved as presented. Fire Committee of January 20th, 2022. Could I have a mover, please?
Myself. Seconded by Nick Fogg.
Thank you. All those in favor?
favor,
All in favor?
Carried. For the next items 8.1, there are two items under that section, and I would like to read both motions prior to discussion. First motion is that Fire Committee endorse the proposed changes in compensation for the fire service personnel. Could I have a mover, please?
Chief Gauthier,
And could I have a seconder, please?
Deputy Chief Bailey,
Thank you. So that's item number one. And the second motion that is on the floor, that Fire Committee endorse specialized training and any NFPA training, monthly regular in-house training shall be compensated at a rate of $15.50 per hour for all members of North Stormont Fire Service. This rate is effective retroactively to January 1st, 2022. Could I have a mover, please?
want to reread that? Could you reread that, CAO Calder?
Yes.
And can you turn your volume up, Craig?
It is all the way up.
Okay,
I'll just be a little clear. My apologies.
no, it's okay. Somebody was coming in at the same time.
That Fire Committee endorse specialized training and any NFPA training, monthly regular in-house training shall be compensated at the rate of $15.50 per hour for all members of North Stormont Fire Service. This rate is effective retroactively to January 1st, 2022.
I'll explain the motion. So the motion is basically to, we have two motions on the table currently. The first one is to review the salaries and find a new salary grid for the fire department. The second is separately, it is a training salary for specialized training as an FPA or any training outside the regular training of the fire department. So the fire department has two regular trainings, sometimes more, but that's outside of those. And we'll go through the details as we move along. And
Correct.
mover and a seconder for the second motion, please. Moved by Deputy Chief Fogg, seconded by Deputy Chief Bailey.
Thank you. I'll leave to the chair for discussion.
So at the request of council, previous council and current council, a request was put forward to review the salary to comparative for the last 3 years, which is all in front of you. I've also included for Deputy Densham and Mayor Laundry a different form, which is for hours only at different rates. I did a comparative of the current hours total per station for the department. And if we actually, there's a difference. And if we increased it by $2, $4, and $6, I added the COLA, it can vary. The current policy for the COLA of the township is 1% to 3%. I'm hoping that the fire committee see fit that instead of reviews sporadically that we possibly COLA to the current salary grid. And use the human resource policy for the township as a COLA standard. Also, I've added another actual, which is $3 an hour to give a variance between the 2, 3, and 4. So the current hourly rate for the deputy chief in our area is currently at, I'm sorry, 2052. Training officers, public education officers, safety officers are currently at 1873. Sorry, captains are at 1873. Training officers, public education and safety officers are 1727. Firefighters are at 1691. And probationary firefighters are at 1550, which is the current minimum standard for Ontario. I will open the floor for comments as to what the other subject is, the honorarium for the deputy chiefs. That's also up for review. And that'll be the first motion that we're discussing. I'll leave it to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So the first motion that we're discussing, you're saying is,
The hourly rate and the honorarium for the deputy chiefs.
so as far as the, and again, I'm speaking on behalf, so this here is all being discussed at this committee meeting. Everything will be decided at council meeting of the first draft, well, not first draft, when we ratify it, but the first draft will be held on March the 6th. So, no, March 6th, at budget.
That's what you wanted to have, bring it to budget, okay.
Okay, so it's going to be brought to
Okay,
budget for the
okay.
deliberation on the first draft. We won't ratify until end of March. So the 7th, there won't be anything in regards to.
Okay,
So the 6th is when I anticipate the our fire chief will present to council on first draft what basically we can, that's why I was hoping to get this done tonight. So it can be documented from our
Show our
treasurer's point of view, can be in place with budget for March 6th when we try to bring a balanced budget to the table. So let's start off with the firefighters. So for some reason, I always thought that we had jumped firefighters to 18. So I was, and I'm
Right.
sure I still started looking back. So I wasn't, so the fact that at 16, we have to bring it up. Like, I mean, our firefighters have to be brought up to our regular firefighting to the 20 mark is what. So there has to be $3 an hour put forward for our fire department, for our firefighters, and then elaborate with the scale as far as our deputy chief, captains, the structure that we have, but everything has to kind of go up. And I'd like to get your take on it. I don't think I'm going to get anybody that's not
argue that, yeah.
Maybe I'll get Steve if you want to add.
Well, again, this is my first meeting, my first discussion. I've had a few discussions with the mayor to kind of get up to speed on how this goes. So to keep it simple in my mind, I think basically what we're trying to settle here is on a clear statement of how much per hour. In general, I'm support of COLA going forward. I think for the sake of simplicity, it may be better for us to assume COLA's in it for this year. Like we're not going to say it's going to be this much, but we're going to add COLA.
No, it's
Let's just say,
inclusive.
For this year
For this
and
year, it's
and moving
inclusive.
Yeah,
forward.
2023, it's inclusive. I do support the idea of COLA going forward. I think it will help us prevent long-term disparity over time. So that's my position. Feel free to debate if you like. But what I'm hoping to kind of settle on is to say, okay, you've given us the 4 rates per hour. And I think it's as simple as what are we recommending as the 4 new rates coming out of that. And so if it's that simple, then I think I'm optimistic that I'm up for the task on this one, but I definitely want to hear from your perspectives on that.
Are
Can
you
I-
suggest, yes?
I will suggest. So right now you're saying about our rookies were at, you're saying 1550 is what the minimum is now.
Correct.
They were not at 1550, correct?
Last year, yes, the minimum salary increased last year, so we had to increase it to 1550.
Oh, so you had increased
I
it?
have to, it's the law. So,
Okay.
but they were at 1491 prior to that.
Okay, so my intention was the 1491. I was
Plus
gonna
3,
say the
okay.
rookies were going, I was gonna round it off to 18.
Okay, I'm just.
the firefighters at 1691, again, 9 cents. So I was gonna round off our firefighters at 20 and
Okay.
not go with 1991.
Okay,
Same thing with the 1727. What are we looking at here? So they were at,
2020, it would be at 2027 if we go with the $3.
yeah, and again, with the slight difference, there's only, like I said, it's not, so I would be
21.
prepared to go to 21,
Okay. Captains,
22.
they are currently at 2052, so putting them at 22 would give them a $2 raise instead of a $3.
Sorry,
123?
no, they were at 1870.
Oh, sorry, that's my sheet is wrong here. That's right. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So to go to
Apologies,
22,
yeah.
and then the deputy chiefs would go to 24.
Through the chair, so could you just reiterate that? So rookies were $18, firefighters
Yes,
were.
so I'll just confirm with
Question?
Deputy, with Mayor Laundry, I have probationary firefighters, $18, firefighters, $20, training officers and so forth, public education, safety, 21, captains at 22,
Yep, yes.
and deputy chiefs at 24 an hour. You okay, correct? That's okay?
Yes.
Now, Craig, that's just been proposed, put on the table. So
Correct.
I would like to get, if there is more comments before we go too fast,
And
from other members of the,
and through the chair, I'm just trying to document just that for the minutes. That's all, just for my own notes. Thank you.
Deputy Chief Tate, I have to think about this. Sorry.
No, there's nothing, I haven't had anyone ask me about increases, so I wasn't sure what we were gonna be discussing. I just got that, so I don't
Are you in agreement with what is being proposed?
know if we need to go that high, but
Okay.
that's my thinking, but I haven't had anyone like
Complain or
complain to
ask,
me about what
request
they're
any
getting right
hours?
now,
Okay.
right? So
I'm in favor with that. I guess being one of the more busy stations, it's a little bit harder to get the guys out whenever you're going for $15 an hour. So I think that would help maybe with the attendance and all that. I have to agree with it.
Deputy Bailey? You agree?
and I'll add,
There's
so
not,
we.
there's not enough money for it.
We did do comparables too. So there's one municipality that's out of reach, but I mean, in general with the other ones, we have to stay on par, and 20 is now so I do not want to sit back and say, oh yeah, we're at well, when I seen the 16, which for some reason I thought we were already at 18, but the 16 for our general firefighters was below. We had to, so it is potentially a slightly higher increases, but at the same time, we've gone through a full organizational review with the municipality, which the firefighters are not involved. And I just think that overall, coming in with where we stand, we have to recognize and come up to these numbers, I think is fair. So that's the motion. I don't know if we,
We have to do the honor variance before we put it.
for that, so
Yeah.
that's not separate to,
No. So are we all in consensus that the salaries presented of probationary officer, probationary firefighter, $18, firefighter at 20, public education, training and safety officers, 21, captains, 22, and deputy chief, 24, not inclusive of any honorarium.
and if you can add for this year's hike, COLA will not be a factor.
This year.
Yeah.
Fall coming into next year, then COLA will be applied.
At 3% or whatever the.
I'll explain the COLA.
Just a quick question, based on our projection or estimates for 2023, from a budgetary perspective, has anybody done the math on that, on where we think that approximately is going to land us?
So if we respect if we exclude last year, because last year was quite the eventful year, if we exclude last year and we look at the numbers from 2020 and 2021, And Mayor Laundry also asked me for a variance on hours. We will be well within our budget with this increase.
Okay, what, did you have the amount?
I'm still gonna be asking for 125, which is the same number as last year.
Okay, and that includes the honorarium piece as well?
No,
or
the
that's-
honorarium
this
is
just
an
for-
administrative, and that's where it was last year as well.
Okay. Okay. So, but if you were to calculate this out based on the average, so you're probably coming in around 100, but are
I
you?
should be within the 85 to 100, yes.
Okay.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah. But, and I
On
get
an-
the
on
fact,
an event,
I get the
yeah,
fact that we
yeah,
don't want to
exactly.
budget down to the nickel because you can't predict how the year's going.
No, exactly.
No,
So we're
gotcha.
hoping that that's what we're gonna be.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
And I'll
The
just
next slide,
add,
yeah.
before we go, I'll just add in regards to the COLA. So with high terms like the last 2 years, so what we do is if it's over 3, you're guaranteed 3. If it's under 4 or under 1, you're guaranteed 1. So if next year the COLA comes in at 2.5, you're going to get 2.5. If it comes in at 0.5, you're going to get 1. And if it comes in at 5, you're going to get 3. So that's the new structure for COLA, not just firefighters, that's with the whole organization.
So the hourly rate, Craig, is gonna stay as we called it, plus not including COLA for this year, and COLA will be starting next year.
Correct.
Now we're gonna discuss the
One more-
honorarium.
Sorry,
Oh,
one more
sorry.
question if I could.
Yeah.
So we're assuming all of the current rules in terms of like, I don't know if there's minimums and stuff like that, but and I should probably get up to speed on that at some point. But we're assuming all those are fine and the deputy chiefs are fine with that assumption.
With the hourly rate.
Yeah, well, is there minimums? Like if you get a call and then you get sent home within 15 minutes or?
There's no minimum hour.
Okay.
There's no more 2-hour minimum, if that's
Okay.
what you're referring to. It's
Yeah.
only 1 hour. The 2-hour minimum has been removed a few years back.
Okay,
It's one.
okay, so that.
There's no
need to
minimum,
touch on
no,
any of that.
no.
Everybody's cool with all that as well,
No,
so.
exactly.
Okay, good.
I've been in there long enough, so when you're, when you always round up.
Yeah. I'll let you start the conversation. with
So,
the honorarium.
yeah.
We did the same charting for the honorarium. The current honorarium is for deputy chiefs is $400 monthly. This had been established when council needed the help with the fire chief position. The review has been done, and I'll leave the floor to the mayor.
So with that, and again, so now it's always nice to say, okay, we're hiking it, and then there's a little bit of a addressing to be had with the deputy chiefs. So the one factor of going up to 24 to help you balance, Nancy, like where are you here?
So we're currently at $400 a
Yeah.
month.
That's just, boom, sorry, okay, so basically what we deem fair and what you see or what I'm comfortable is going to the 2,600, the 200. So for the duty of the deputy chief, recognizing what you guys do at the hall. There's restructure as far as training. So we had deputy chief that is coming in. So the whole dynamic of the fire service is changing as far as the stuff. So I just feel, and I mean, I need to get your input on this, is to validate if you say that, no, you want the 4 and go from there. But right now with the structure, raising everybody. So if you look at, I don't know what the hours per se that you guys would bring in with the influx of the $24 an hour versus the other one to compensate to bring you up to a closer, I know it's not going to match the 400, but to bring you up to a closer number. And I just feel that with the 400 is just the duties of our fire chief. Everything seems to be going up, and right now we're at the point where we're here again and trying to minimize. So I'd like to get your input of the 3, and also maybe if Deputy Mayor Densham wants to speak, or you guys let me know what your thoughts are.
I'll let you go first, Deputy Flora.
To me, it doesn't matter. We can go down to 2. The workload was bigger back when it first came in. But now with, full-time chief and admin assistants and all that, I have no objections to bring it down.
Deputy Bailey.
You're just going up.
just-
You're
yeah.
just-
Do you have?
I don't
any-
like going down, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll leave the floor to Deputy Tate. Any comments on reducing your honorarium to 200?
No, it's just, it was way easier doing stuff. I know when we previously in the past, we used to have it. I know it was it was a smaller amount before this all happened. Nick was part of that. Charting your hours all the time with that smaller amount, that's what we were required to do. It's way nicer now, not having to worry about how long I'm at the thing and stuff like that. So I can, yeah, for sure. We were definitely asked more of before Chief Goche came into play, what we were doing, for sure. Yeah, works for me.
Yeah, and I don't have the history, but as I understand it, it went up to 400 to fill an immediate need at the time. And that need has now been changed and with the chief that we have. If you guys feel it's fair, then it sounds like the right thing to do. Because again, we're not in the same situation that we were at the time the decision was made. So I thank you for your being reasonable.
So my question is, I have no objections as well. My only request is that the honorariums for January and February be respected at the $400 level, but that everything else be January 1st, 2023. So the salaries be effective January 1st, 2023 for the firefighters and the deputies and captains for all positions and all membership, but that the per diem, the honorarium for the deputy chiefs be respected for January and February at 400 and moving forward be 200 a month.
Yeah, I don't want to claw back. Yeah, no.
We're good?
And also, I'm not sure, was that a monthly deposit or,
Every 3 months.
okay, so you guys can work it out with finance as far as.
Yeah, we're fine.
that
Yeah.
goes. Okay.
Okay, we'll figure it out. So the motion on the table, CAO Calder, is that the $200 per diem be effective March 1st. And all per diems prior to, honorariums prior to January be honored. All salaries be reflective of January 1st, 2023. If you wouldn't mind rereading that motion as it is now, CAO Calder, sorry.
Yes, I'm going to have to, if you can just give me pause, I'm going to have to.
Absolutely.
I've got them in my notes, but until it was finalized, so rookies.
Mhm.
Commence January 1st, 2023. Okay, thank you for your patience. So I will reread both motions. That fire committee endorse the proposed changes in compensation for the fire service personnel, rookies, $18 an hour, firefighters, $20 an hour, training officers, $21 an hour, captains, $22 an hour, and deputy chiefs, $24 an hour to commence retroactively to January 1st, 2023. And honorariums for deputy chiefs reduced to 200 a month commencing March 1st, 2023. Have I captured that?
Correct.
Do we need to add something that says, starting in 24, it will follow COLA as well? Do we need a
Yes,
COLA
thank you.
statement on there?
Correct. And just to put a footnote, I was advised by finance that COLA does not apply to the honorarium, only to the salaries. Just to make sure that we
These, were they affected by cold? Okay, is that why we're at 60?
Okay, let me reread that again. Sorry for the delay. That fire committee endorsed the proposed changes in compensation for the fire service personnel. Again, rookies at $18 an hour, firefighters at $20 an hour, training officers at $21 an hour, captains at $22 an hour, and deputy chiefs at $24 an hour to commence retroactively to January 1st, 2023. Honorariums reduced to $200 a month commencing March 1st, 2023 for deputy chiefs. And COLA will be introduced annually starting in 2024 to hourly rates exclusively.
perfect.
And that was moved by Fire Chief Nancy Ngoche and seconded by Deputy Chief Bailey. Could I confirm that both parties are in agreement?
I am.
Moving forward?
Both of us are.
All those in favor? Carried.
All in favor.
And the second motion that fire committee endorse specialized training and any NFPA training, monthly regular in-house training shall be compensated at the rate of $15.50 per hour for all members of North Stormont Fire Services. This rate is effective retroactively January 1st, 2022. I had a mover, Deputy Chief Forg, and the seconder was Deputy Chief Bailey.
Correct. So this is specifically for special, and I'll take the lead on this one. So this is specifically for specialized training outside your regular training hours at the station. So on a norm, most stations have 2 training a month that will stay, and your hourly current wage will stay. What I'm asking for is that fire committee support and bring to council a rate of specialized training for the NFPA standards and any other related extrication or any regular outside training at $15.50 per firefighter. This will help us take the strain off the regular salary training. It will also support and help. I think it will help the enrollment of specialized training. And we're asking a lot of our firefighters, and I think that having a small honorarium to participate is a little dated. So, but also with that said, our township is still very much in a financial status that it is. So I'm asking that we give at least a minimum wage to our firefighters and this retroactively to 2022, sir. I'll open the floor to the mayor.
So I hadn't put that thought, so that's, but I'm just wondering, does that sort of affect more are we more dealing in regards to the F1 and F2? Is that
Yes,
where
so
this,
the F1, F2, any pump ops, any accreditation that we'll have a conversation about afterwards. We have been paying our firefighters and membership a very, very low minimum, which will be dealt with afterwards during a separate conversation. But all that to say, we do have to put the line in the sand, and we do have to start paying a regular wage or hourly wage. I'm talking NFPA standards. I'm talking, let's say, for example, we had brain rescue last year, live fire training that we participated in order to elevate the participation in these great events that we've had for free.
would that not be why, like, I've had when I was on where we had training where we go outside to, why would that be outside the pay scale that we have?
We can keep the current space scale. I'm just starting a conversation of of having this extra per diem. So if fire committee and council wishes to give the current salary to the training, we are more than welcome to do so. But for example, firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 is almost 200 hours.
That's where, and I spoke to you where I'd
Mhm.
like to separate that and
Well,
and
that's-
deal with that. But as far as if they go for open fire, if they go for
Anything,
extrication,
okay.
we've done it in the past, we used to go and that falls in, I
So
believe.
you
it-
want to keep
I
it
believe it
within,
would fall
Okay.
into our 5,000, roughly 5,000 hours is what I always sort of base my
okay,
gauge on. I think the last, not this year gone by, the last 2 years was 41 and 46, I think 100 was sort of, so at 5, I think that would fall. Firefighter 1, firefighter 2, I'd like to have further discussion.
fi- okay,
We're gonna,
okay, perfect.
but I think for the other, and I'd like your opinion, but the other training, if you're going in a live, why would we go down to 1550?
I don't think we have in the past.
Hey,
I don't think we have. in
No,
the
but I was
past.
talking more the specialized in NFPA, but he wants to have a different conversation at budget, so.
but when you're talking about 200, like 140 hours for F1, that's where you get 15 firemen that go. It's it puts a
huge
big
impact.
strain on our budget. So that's why I want to kind of see, and we can maybe have a little bit further discussion.
Okay,
But for the regular training, or if they do go for, I'm not talking about the.
nope, I got it.
I would stick to the, to
Hourly
being
rate.
part of your duties as a firefighter and get compensated.
I don't understand the difference between the firefighter 1, 2, and regular training. Why would there be a different fee? There's more hours involved, but it's still training and required training.
Yeah, I agree, but right now, that's the issue with small municipalities trying to, and to send 20, you're talking about $75,000 on our budget. It comes a point where I have to determine to say, okay, I'm gonna raise taxes to a rate of 6% versus, that's where we have to try to work together or over. So I'd like to say, this is the one firefighter 1 and 2 is coming on board at 140 hours, which part of it is, I don't know, is it some still Zoom?
No, a lot of it is self-learning and the practical is,
So I would
many
support
hours.
practical, but the self-learning, if you're at home, I'm just saying to compensate where you have 25, we have 72 firefighters, so do the math. If you're trying to implement, I'm just looking at the dollars and I'm trying to find a solution. How can we, and it's new too, so in my time, there was no F1, basically you get grandfather claused in, and so now trying to do that, it just, we're taking the fire service from here, we made it to here, now it's
It
again
needs to be
being
out
escalated and
So CAO Calder, just a quick question. I'm sorry, Deputy Township. What happens to a motion? I've never been in this position. So what happens to the motion if it's not supported?
Well, first of all, we could read the motion and still see if both the mover and the seconder.
we will
Okay.
vote, we will still vote.
We'll still
on
vote
this.
on it. Okay,
Yeah. So
okay.
now I'm just making my
Oh, no,
statement,
okay,
but I
okay.
like
Okay.
Deputy Chief Bailey mentioned, I got my. pen
I
down.
know, you're
No,
getting
so,
excited.
but I'd like to hear from everybody else to see, right now, all I'm saying is, outside of the F1 and F2, and I understand that, but if you're going away to, I think there was like fires in Cornwall. Okay,
Yes.
well, I wouldn't suggest that, oh yeah, well, you're going to, it's a special, you're gonna get down to 1550. That's what I'm saying. So that part is part, or if we do extrication, or if I'm just saying specific, and possibly the training, practical training with F1 could be one way. And the other, I'm just trying to
You're
find a
looking at option.
solution
Okay.
to see if we can balance something that it benefits the firefighter to have it, similar to getting an AZ or a DZ, sorry. You know what, comes at a big cost, but there's a balance where you get your DZ, it could be. So I'm just trying to, similar to F1, I'm trying to get a balance, but I want everybody's opinion is basically what.
So for F1, how many are grandfathered in?
The accreditation is right here. So you have quite a few that are grandfathered, and that's bringing us into our next subject. But for example, station 1 is 37%, station 2 is 26%, station 3 is 21%, and station 4 is 42%. This is for firefighter 1. We have a lot of firefighters that wrote the test and are skilled to the test. So we are very, very well placed for firefighter one, I must admit. So we're looking at about an 80% average of our 90% average of our firefighters that do have firefighter one, with the new crew going through the program. So grandfathered and written in skill is, everybody passed their skills, everybody passed their written. We have a third group and the rookies coming in will have to go through.
So since we started the actual firefighter one, how many did we put through the course?
Julie, could I have my binder, please? That says,
I know Frank was telling it's a large amount. There's 72 firefighters, but
We don't all
it's
need it.
not everyone that needs it.
no, but that's a conversation you'd
And
like to
we're
have
gonna, we
afterwards.
should be going with less and less.
That's why I requested this,
Yeah.
Yeah,
to try to do the math.
Yeah, so that's why, yeah,
And
exactly.
That's why I'm saying I'd like
Thank
to,
you.
the firefighter one and two, I'd like to have a different
Awesome.
conversation
Yeah.
outside, but the training, when you guys are going out, there's no,
yeah, no, going out that, I would say. it's
the
your full
rate
salary.
is a rate, yeah.
But firefighter one, even like the self-taught part. There should be like a lump sum just for that part and maybe a little bit more for the practical.
Okay.
But that's something I'd like to,
Because, you
So
can't
that's
say,
what
well,
he's
it's gonna
saying,
be
he
so
wants
much
to
an
separate
hour,
the two.
because I'm sure it's slower than chief does. So it's gonna take me 3 hours to read through, well, it might take her half hour.
But that's what he's saying. He wants to separate the two.
and I'd like to present sort of a negotiation, say, okay, well, if you get that, we'll give you this and the training and that's what, but with this, it's kind of hard. I tried to see, okay, 33, and I'm trying to make sense of it. We'll have to sit down and see. And if it was overwhelming, then maybe then we would restrict and say, okay, well, how about, I don't know what the timelines are. but
Yeah.
Putting so many guys to this year and then stretch it out. So that's what I have to figure out and not be caught where it just escalates to the point where it's
Not
getting hard
affordable.
to
Not
manage.
affordable to get our credentials.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask some newbie questions here.
Absolutely.
So I kind of like what Nick was saying in terms of a lump sum, because different people learn at different paces. And to become a firefighter, do you have to have both of these training completed?
So the
or-
accreditation, we were legislated in July of last year.
Right.
So pending the services we provide to our residents, we have to be accredited.
Okay, so this is kind of like going to school,
It is,
right?
it is,
So
it
this
is
is kinda like-
exactly that.
Yeah, okay, so
And
it's,
they're training to the same level as a career firefighter. There's no difference in the training.
right,
The accreditation is that. So we've been able to, and that's where my training and everything goes by,
right.
is the service we provide. I go by what we provide.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so again, I can see a case because it sounds like a lot of this is kind of desk work on your own in front of the computer,
Correct.
et cetera, versus going out and, practicing and the skills. Maybe there's a bit of that, I don't know. But I can see it being a different style of training, a little less laborious. You can make it more convenient with your day. You're not interrupting. You don't have to align your schedule with it. So it can become a more convenient style, which could justify, like say, if you're looking to lower the cost. I think there's an explanation around that one. And again, you're basically training yourself to get a job, right? And so when I went to school, I paid to go to school. I wasn't getting paid to go to school to do that. I think being compensated is the right thing to do. But like I say, being compensated at the full amount is a fully qualified firefighter. That's kind of the bar you're trying to reach. So I can see us kind of saying, you know what, let's kind of base it on the assumption of around the $15 an hour. You're going to school for the first, you get yourself qualified, then you're all in. So that's how I could see it play out. Again, that's my thinking.
Nothing, you have any comments, Steve? No?
No,
No?
I'm
Okay.
fine with the way. I know that what we did in the past was, it was a lot of hours for the amount, so. But
Correct.
it's true what Steve said, like Counselor Dentron saying that you're not there yet, right? You're learning, so. I mean,
But you're learning,
you'll have to set that
you're
up.
learning at minimum wage.
It is what it is. I
Okay.
think, I don't know. I think
But
you're gonna
again-
end up bankrupting the place.
You
if
get
you start
trained at- you
paying
get trained
everything
at
for all these
McDonald's
hours.
for minimum wage.
Yeah, but that, again,
Yeah, that's a
companies
different
pay
like it- yeah.
to train. Some, like Steve said, you could say, well, go and get your firefighter one, and then we'll think about hiring you. is what I'm saying. So there's companies that pay their employees to train, to absorb. Now we're talking about not a full-time job here, so but there's young kids that will come in to get their fire 1, 2, okay? And it's an opportunity. I got 1, 2. I'm going to sign up to go to the city of Ottawa and get a full-time firefighter job. Maybe not you guys at your age, but I'm talking about the younger guys. But I'm talking about younger guys that could potentially be. So I'm just saying, I want to work with you guys, but at the same time, to pay full pledge, pay for it. And it potentially could be that the next year he gets a job in Brockville. And guess what? Now I'm hiring the other guy and I'm restarting over. So
But you can go back to that, if you leave the municipality within 2 years of your training, you pay it back.
And that's what he's saying.
do that.
He wants to review the entire program
yeah,
off
yeah.
separately for the NFPAs. He wants to maintain the standard, that's the specialized training as is with the current salary. So I think the motion would read that the specialized training is to be considered in-house training and at full rate. And any NFPA standards will be discussed at a further time. Is that?
now I'm not sure if the F1, F2, does that fall, like
The
you're saying,
NFPA, yeah.
extrication?
No, that would be different. There is some extrication involved, but I'm talking electric vehicles extrication. That would be a specialized training that I'm asking at budget.
See, that part, I don't see why we wouldn't be
Mhm.
paying them that
Okay.
train on it, because
Yep.
they need it.
That's fine.
Same thing with setting a few guys to go through the live
Fire,
fire, okay, that's
yeah.
that's something, excuse me, that all I'm saying is I kind of see a view of offering like a bonus. We're gonna offer you a bonus to help you out with the fire 1 and 2, so that it brings you up to the speed where we need you to be able to serve as a firefighter in the municipality. But it's going to be a balance, and I think that we can come up. I'm just using ideas in my head. We can come up with numbers. I think that's going to work with everybody, but it has to be analyzed a little deeper to understand where we sit, because it is a rotating wheel where older guys come out, new guys come in. So we're going to have to work
Once
with
they're
it.
done their firefighter, they go from rookie to firefighter, so their salary scale.
The salary goes up as well.
And is it fair to say that, like, you don't become a rookie until you have your firefighter 1 and 2, or?
No,
how
they
does it
come in
work?
as a probationary until they get their firefighter 1.
So you get a
They
little bit of
can't go,
hands-on,
yeah, exactly.
but you can't be a full-fledged firefighter until you get your 1 and 2. Okay. So
And
it's kind of part of being a rookie is firefighter 1 and 2.
correct. Firefighter 2 is once you become once you become a firefighter, because your skills get elevated, you can do entrance during a fire, where at firefighter 1, you can't go inside. You need
But
to
it's
do,
not as loaded of a course also.
exactly. The course is a lot less. It's 50 hours. So there's a huge difference, but there's a different, it's more of a, equipment maintenance and so forth, which is great because now it's going to help us save on some of our hose inspections and so forth. So there's some trade-offs to all of this, but I wanted to make sure that that we were good. So Craig, could you reread the motion for us, please, with the changes mentioned?
Yes, that the fire committee endorse specialized training at the regular hourly rate and NFPA training compensated at the rate of $15.50 per hour for all members of North Stormont Fire Services. This rate is effective retroactively to January 1st, 2022.
So we are stating that the specialized training will be compensated at the regular wages
Correct, that
of,
fire committee endorse specialized training at regular hourly rates and NFPA training compensated at the rate of $15.50 per hour for all members of the North Stormont Fire Service. This rate is effective retroactively to January 1st, 2022.
so am I correct? The first part is right, the second part is not. We're
I
gonna
would say
defer,
second
we're
part's
gonna
fine.
defer the second
Second part's
part.
fine.
I would
Second
suggest,
part's fine.
I would suggest that we don't put anything as far
No, we
as.
just defer the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, because I think it does, because right now
It's
we
what we're
have,
gonna vote,
we're
but,
saying
yeah.
about specialized training at 1550.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so we're just gonna,
Right now, the training is at regular
It's
rates.
already,
So
yeah.
that part, we don't need to. And
So
when
we're
we
all
deal
against.
with F1 and F2, then we'll come up with
Okay. So how do we
So,
vote against
so,
it? Is that-
so through the chair, it was
And
moved
we
by
voted,
Deputy Chief Forg, and it was Deputy Chief Bailey who seconded it. Now, I believe the group, and this is a decision of the group, whether they carry it, defeat it, or defer it. If there's more discussion to be had on this, I would suggest deferring it. And then we can bring it back to another fire committee meeting. If it's required.
but if we defer, do we have to bring it back? Because we only have a fire committee meeting in late fall.
No, if we defer, we can bring it back at any time.
Oh, we
can
can't,
bring it-
okay, but we
Correct.
don't, do we want to bring it
If
back?
we don't, then it's thrown out. So,
Okay.
so if we defer, we can bring it back at a later.
Yeah,
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 just to
so
bring
just
it
for
Well,
that, yeah.
that's something for new business that I'll add to that.
So we're gonna defer?
If that's the will of the committee.
All in favor of deferring? I don't know if we had to vote on that, but. No?
Yes, I do need to record that it was, deferred.
Oh, okay.
Nancy Ann, through the chair, the chief has some other items that are on the agenda for discussion.
Yes, the accreditation status. So as we were having a discussion earlier, I just wanted to update the committee on the status and our firefighter 1 program and firefighter 2 program. I did the stats. I know it looks very nice. And I want to thank my husband who's becoming my Excel person. But this is just to show that we are in a very good position regarding the legislative requirements of the accreditation from the province. We took this on head on before the legislation came on board. So technically, if I look at the legislation, some of the stuff is already completed. Our FF1, FF2 requirements are going to meet the services that we are to be provided according to our emergency services bylaw. Everything that we have prepared with our NFPA training coordinator and the deputy chiefs has been in accordance with the bylaw of our services. And I must admit that our firefighters have been really, really supportive of it. So we have, I'd say, about 75% accomplished.
Quick question. If I
Mhm.
have through you, Madam Chair, do we have a timeline? Like, what's the deadline for legislated?
So everything is between July 1st, 2026 and July 1st, 2028. Those are the two very strong deadlines. We have completed the fire investigator. Our township has 3. We have completed the fire and life safety educators. We have 3 to all levels. We have all our training, all our officers have been trained to the level 1. We are currently working on succession planning for level 2 for those that can write the programs and bring them in-house. Our captains, we're bringing an officer 1 program, hopefully this year pending budget. Our ASMAT response to the level of technician and operations. Operations is included with your officer, your firefighter 2. So anybody grandfathered to level 2 has been grandfathered to hazmat operation levels. A lot of our new hazmat awareness is done online at a very low cost of $65. And most have found it very, very easy to follow and be easy to go. The 2 top ones were pump operations, which is our requirement for all members to have. So in discussions with the deputies, we all agreed that we would send some of our training officers and bring it in-house at a recurring factor. So we have till July, July 21st, 2026. So we are in a very, very good position regarding the accreditation.
So for pump ops, isn't it like in the past where you have to get one guy that's, and then he can in-house, then just do your in-house training on younger guys coming on board and learning how to run the pump? Is that
Yes,
correct?
R2 went to the exams where they are accredited to teach it now and they're training officers instead of me going or, well, I could have done that, but They got accredited, they passed their exam, so they can bring it in. My question will be to my advisor when I meet with them is do they need to write the exam, or can we keep this as a skill level in our own township? And if so, to what level do I need to do this at? So that's the only question. Do they actually need to write the exam, or can we just do the pump pops without? So that's,
Speaking of every firefighter,
so if we do it in-house, it's the cost of the training, of course, which brings us back to the conversation of an FBA. But it also, the exam is $65. The cost of the exam is $65. So the whole, what costs us is the time and the material needed. And we have the staff to do it in-house.
Okay, so, yeah, you've kind of painted a picture of what's been completed. And I think you're painting part of the picture, therefore, what's left to be done.
There's
Right.
not a lot, yeah.
Okay, so,
For the service we provide, the only questions we have, or I have, and this is a question that we may have to bring up in future conversation, is, our water rescue. This is a requirement. To what level do we need water rescue? We've had one incident, which I can't determine exactly what incident it was, in the last 15 years of doing the data. So I did go through the data. We've had one call for Chrysler, obviously, but to what it was, I don't know. I know Moose Creek had a
It
call
was
for
a
water rescue,
missing-
but it was ditched.
it was a missing person and they were anticipating so they were
Oh,
walking the
okay.
waterways to see if.
Okay. And I've been in conversations with other chiefs as well, where we're gonna have to start thinking outside the box, because some of these, a ladder truck, I'm surrounded by departments that have them, that, are willing to have an automatic gate agreement. The cost to have them come for a couple of hours versus buying one is, right? So a lot of our chiefs and a lot of our neighboring are having that conversation now. Water rescue is one of them. So those are conversations we're having, that maybe accrediting people is not the way to go, but we may want to have a shore level training, right? But I don't think we need a vote, right? So these are things we need to look at, is our neighboring partners and what skills we have that they may be able to utilize as well. That's where we're at with the accreditation. Any question? This was an information piece.
Correct.
So,
No motion is required for that.
sorry?
There's no motion required for the accreditation item.
The next one is 8.3, which is our capital projects. So the capital projects being brought forward to budget on March 6th, like the deputy mayor Laundrie said, sorry, hold that bit. I am bringing different projects to the table. The first one is, after all the multitudes of power outages we've had in North Stormont, more so in Moose Creek than not, I'm requesting 2 generators for the Moose Creek station. I'm going to start with them. And then the other one is for the water tower, where my communication is.
those generators are to power the station or to take around in the case of emergency, and how much wattage is required?
So.
How big of a generator? do we
So,
really
yeah,
think
so
we
he
need?
did put in the information knowing me. So I
Okay.
did get a local quote just for information purposes.
Okay.
And what I did is I did 2 things. Is the first one is I got a quote for the entire station. We're talking, heating, fridge, stove, everything that's in there would be operable. And I had another quote, which was for partial coverage, which would be the furnace to keep the heat, the radios, the main lobby lighting, and the shop lights and the doors. So there would be heat in the bay. It would be strictly for the emergency use of the trucks, where the trucks would be it would still be heated, the doors would still be operational, and the air in the trucks, which is important, would be time efficient as well. So there's different pricing, and the wattage is,
It's here.
yes, sorry. So I would rather have, I would, of course, I would love to have, and it's not a rotating generator, it'll be in-house. The roads department have been gracious to bring some generators in need, but at the last storm, they couldn't because they needed them for their pumps, their gas pumps. So this is what prompted me to start getting generators for all the stations. We've had a problem with our doors, and it's not that in the trucks, it's not that the doors can't be done manually, but it's the air and the time that it takes.
Batteries.
And the batteries and all our equipment is charging on those trucks as well. So a fire like the barn fire would have taken a lot of time, for a lot of wasted time. Even if it's just 3 minutes, that's the new barn down. So that response is important. To my surprise, I didn't realize that our stations did not have generators for that purpose, or at least Moose Creek doesn't. So we're,
Post-disaster building, shouldn't they have them?
yeah, so they're not, so they should. But with that said, Chrysler now has one. With the build, we've integrated that into the build. So my ask is that we do that. The second ask is that the water tower. My communication is at the
I
water
believe
tower.
that's gonna be being taken care of by grant. I think the water towers
It's the water, it's
are all
the,
getting it.
it's the ponds, but the water.
Through the chair, it's the,
Is it the lagoons?
through the chair, it's the 3 water pump stations that
That's
will be, getting or being installed at, having 3 generators, 1 for each of those. Through the grant that Aqua is overseeing for us.
correct. So the water tower is limited to the radios. The radios tap is that's where they are.
Yep.
Our communication, and we have a 2-hour battery backup, which if not used can last a little longer. But again, in certain events in the last 6 months, I've been up. Like the first event, we were lucky to have the generator from the roads department. But the second time we weren't so lucky. So we struggled to maintain, but we did. Everybody's chipped in. So these are 2 major parts that I'm bringing to council for budget consideration. And those are the reasons why. And hopefully next year will be the other station. The other investment that I'd like to bring is that of supplementing the UTV in Chrysler. So we would like to have a slide on with the water tank and a patient transfer in the back of that UTV that they're going to be getting. The understanding is that they would apply for the grant because, and then we would supply that. With that said, we would like to put a mobile radio in, so when it's in use, the unit will be, they will be heard and then brought back to our a station for use. Now, with that said, we're looking at a cost of approximately, the radio is about 7,500 tax in, installed. And the slide in, the members at the Chrysler station have looked into it, and I've called Battle Shield that well, I just haven't received it, but we'll have to, we're looking at approximately 10,000. With that said, Chrysler station has been doing a lot of fundraising for this UTV, and because it's not going to be used in entirety, they are offering a portion of that as a donation. So what we're looking at, hopefully 50%, and that'll be confirmed at budget time.
Sorry, 50% of
The
what is
10,000,
getting?
the 10,000, yeah. So they're going to offer to pay a portion of the slide on, and the radios will be completely at us.
Sorry, again, maybe a silly question,
Absolutely,
but,
there's no silly questions, sir.
a firefighter would be responding if they needed the UTV to actually, well, and do that.
Correct,
And
not the,
firefighters don't carry a radio with them,
but on the machine, if the machine is on the trail, they'll come back.
but they
So
don't, a firefighter doesn't.
they're
have-
not handling the UTV during the trail run of it, right? So this UTV is used for trail maintenance and so forth.
Right,
So if the UTV is out in the summer with trail maintenance
right,
by a volunteer resident, not a volunteer firefighter,
okay.
if they can hear on the radio that we require.
Oh, so the resident can drive it back and.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct, because we don't want one of our hand radios, which is limited, out with them. Like as portable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
So having something more
Yeah, we
stable
saw.
is less less hazardous of being lost or broken, especially on the trail.
And will a radio actually be left on by the person and?
They can just turn it on. It's very easy to just turn it
Versus
on.
just having, I don't know whether there's such a thing as just a simple alarm that says, when this is beeping, you gotta come back right away, rather than having a full-fledged radio to.
I guess we could give them but while we're on scene, we also need that communication with the,
Well, and that goes back to my question is, if you're on scene, does a firefighter not carry with them, or can they not carry with them a portable radio? So you don't need one fixed into the UTV. That's kind of what. I was-
yes, but with the UTV, you're going all over to different fields, right? So you're not always straight, and we've seen pagers and radios just jump out on their own. So this is more of a long-term, it's costly versus the hand radio. The hand radio is a little less expensive, agreed, but the chances of it being tossed out or lost in the field is, and especially in the winter, in the snow, in the winter trails, is gonna be lost a lot easier.
Yeah. And, does it increase the risk of vandalization if we have it?
It's gonna be
the-
in the station. We're hoping to store it in our station.
Okay,
I'd like to trial and error, so I don't know, like, we don't have it yet. I
No,
don't know if this will be on this year's budget,
it's coming in this spring.
okay?
It's coming in the spring.
No, I know, but I'd like, because 90% of the people that are on the trail are firefighters. Like, I mean, it's one big circle. I'll talk to, but I don't know to put a radio in there when, I don't know if we start and see.
Or you wanna just have a handheld for now?
Well, like I said, we'll have to discuss it further, but the unit will be at the fire hall.
Hopefully, that's the
That's the
discussion. We'll have to
discussion,
confirm,
and-
yeah.
And that's where I think that there's no really better place than that. And it could be, again, in cooperation with, we have enough community leaders in the fire service that are around to make sure that this works. So anyways, there's more discussion. I don't know, it'll be in budget. I just don't know yet where we're, I anticipate you gotta get the unit before you make decision on buying this and moving forward. We haven't had one for 30 years, so it's not 6 months.
No, I'm
That's
just
kinda
saying
neat.
it's, the unit is coming in this year, we're hoping.
Yes.
So that's why I'm anticipating the ask.
Yes.
so just to play on that question, I guess another way of asking it would be is, how many times would you, for the last 3 years, would you have envisioned actually using it
We have called North Glengarry 5 times so far
so far in
in the last 3 years.
the last 3 years? Okay.
Yeah, so we've,
In our area.
in our
Yeah.
area, yeah. So we've used it, we've actually, they haven't responded to some, North Glen just will call me directly now and say, we've got a call, we need to go. So I let them go. I don't even have the whole station come out. And it's getting a little bit more
Prior to
frequent.
that, with Jonathan Janzo.
A lot of times we have our own that does it locally, but that doesn't.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
We've used it more than we were hoping to. So that's the first ask. So the second, those are the asks for the UTV. The second one wasn't to be in a capital project, but because of the cost, our treasurer has asked us to put it in the capital project. So originally, Moose Creek Station needed some eavesdrops, which was quoted as approximately $3,500 plus tax. And then we realized there was no snow guards, so putting the eavesdrops would have been redundant. So I got a price for the snow guards like we did Avonmore's last year. So the total cost is approximately $10,000. So because of the amount that finance would like us to put it in the capital project. I won't put eavesdrops and Deputy Chief Fogg agrees that it would be redundant to put them on without the snow guards
The old ones fell off because of snow.
because of the snow.
But now
So
10,000, is that just for the snow guard, or is that gonna cover snow guard and? the
eavesdrops, the
eavesdrops?
both, yeah.
Well, the guy I have who's not here tonight, who's hopefully gonna be redoing my room, recommended I don't get snow guards, because if they get ripped off, you're gonna wreck your roof. So-
I don't, so this is, an industrial and every eavesdrop at every station is falling off right now.
Well, so, yeah, I don't have eaves, I used to have eavesdrops on my house
Yeah,
for
yeah.
exactly the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
reason, but yeah, they get ripped off, so I don't have them either. But I don't know whether snow guards is the answer, that's all I.
We're,
What
Well,
they're designed for.
Technically, you should have had snow guards from the beginning,
Yeah.
because it's all our front doors.
Yeah.
That's where our trucks get out. Should have something there from.
So this is just for the front portion of the building for the snow guards. And there'll be something related to the one that we did in Avonmore and Chrysler has put them on as well. The other one is, this has been pre-approved by council last year. And I wanted to, I'll give you an update as well, but this is for our PPE, our gear and our air tanks and so forth. So that was already inclusive and that'll be in our budget this year, but it was already pre-approved. The other radios, I'm asking for 8 more handheld radios. We currently have, how many in each station? 8, 6? I think
I'd say
6.
10,
I'm gonna say
We bought
9
40.
or 10.
so there should be 10.
I think there's the 3 brand new ones, the one red, 2 white, no, 1 white, 2 reds, and then 6 or 7 of the older style I have. I
It
know
was
that.
supposed to be 40, but it didn't end up being 40.
I'd have to
Because there
check
was
the
extra
order.
cost for other stuff, so we took some out because we were able to reuse some of the old ones.
See, the old
But
ones
then-
were on top of that. There was some, no, sorry, that was the pagers. We kept some of them, the 6.
And a lot of
but-
pagers we couldn't use because they were forced. And a lot of the radios was discovered while we were programming that they were not digital. So we ended up with less radios than anticipated because they weren't digital as intended.
The new ones were.
The
not?
new ones are, but the older ones that we were
Oh.
hoping to reprogram and reset were not digital, so we could not use them. So one of the asks is 2 more radios per station is 8, and I'm hoping to have a radio per firefighter eventually.
So, question, is that the right number now? Or what are, like, a year from now, are we gonna say, no, we need another 2 and another?
I would like to have 1 per firefighter, so I'll be asking for a radio until 1 per firefighter. I went 8 because you're looking at about $8,000 it's about $1,000 per radio.
So what are we short in total? Like, what's the?
I'd have to do the
So if
full.
We go with 2 more, will be our 10, 11 per station, and we're 18.
So
miles.
what's your
So,
reasoning for 1 per firefighter?
It's, well, first off, our cause, like big cause, like I'll give you the barn example. We were all around it and we had some instances where we didn't have communication. I'm
Well,
just
you
saying
have
that's an
the
example.
pump, You have the tanker, you got 2 that's going in the tanker, they don't need to get, so to me,
The pump needs one.
Hmm?
If you're running the pump, you don't hear the radio, it's in the
Yeah.
tap.
well, we
You need one.
have, do the guys not use
We
the,
don't have those.
We didn't get the headsets.
we did, we have them, guys. Oh, yeah. We had
No,
the
you
whole
have
thing.
the Bluetooth. We don't have the headsets like that they were having. They don't have.
No, it's
they
just
don't
that you
fit.
respond to, say, 30 calls.
No,
a
I'm
year.
not saying,
You take out the vehicles, you get 1 fire, I understand that, but
Yeah, yeah.
there's, 2 guys exterior attack, 2 guys on the hose, you got 1 radio, you're 3 feet apart. I'm just saying to have, like, if you have 10 on the team of, or 12 on the team, but to have 18 radios, to me, a lot of them would sit there when you might get a call where you get 8 guys show up and. I'm
well,
just-
I'm gonna say example, and Avonmore Moose Creek respond to the La Flèche site and the tire plant. And I'm gonna tell you, we've got people inside, we've got people outside, we've got people on the other side. We have people all over the place. We have people pumping, and now with the water problem we're gonna have we're gonna have more people on the road than we are gonna have. So it's, the disbursement is gonna be different because of that water issue. And I'm not saying the pumper's gonna be somewhere else. So there's times where the pumper's here, the guys are going around the building. So, and now that they're, brush fires was a big one last year. We've had a couple of big ones where we were separated tremendously. And communication with North Glen is changing as well. So the type of fires we're having are different. They're larger and they're more, and a lot of them are industrial. If you get a fire at a farm, in this case, we did, or even if it's just a smaller fire, the disbursements of waters and where we need to be is a lot wider. And I'm gonna be quite honest, some of the response time during the day sometimes is not as, I agree that some of them might sit during the day, but if they're inside, outside, It varies. There's calls where it varies. There's calls where they're absolutely not needed, and there's calls where they're absolutely needed. But that's a call that council will have to make. That's my ask, and the reason for it is there.
No, I see, what happened, it's not just the fact you're buying them, but you're maintaining them, you're replacing them.
I
And
agree.
one drops it, it breaks, the clip's gone. So,
I
so
agree.
and to have
See-
18 is just,
Well, before that we went with all the new ones, we were at 14, 15 radios. So now with all the new radios, we went down to almost half. So it's, for us, it's a big step up from a lot of radios to almost none. Especially like here night on the highway. We are.
I'll look into, like, I want to talk to
We're very
this, Rob,
far
because
apart.
I know we've had 40 radios.
I'll look at we could certainly pull
The
the
other one,
RFQ.
we're on lease from Bearcom, like, I'm the one that took care of it. They're
So
on
the
lease.
Bearcom lease is done.
Okay.
One of them is done,
Okay.
and we bought those out. They're ours. But a lot of them were not digital. So this is where one of the problem was.
They weren't compatible.
They weren't
with the
compatible.
new ones.
There was the anticipation of them being, but they weren't. So, but you can certainly, absolutely, and we can
Because
pull the
what?
paperwork out for that we ordered. I don't remember the exact
Because
number.
when we bought that, it wasn't that old, and to say that they weren't digital, like.
A
this
lot of them
lease-
were.
This lease with Bearcom was not that old, like, we were in 2 years in. So the fact that they weren't digital is kind of.
Yeah,
funny
it was,
that
we were
they-
shocked, we were surprised as well. Yeah.
Brand
we-
new equipment, but.
Yeah. Compatible, or digital, yeah. But that I can certainly ask CEO Calder and finance the paperwork of the order and give you a history before March 6th, definitely.
How much is it per radio?
8 radios is about $7,600, so you're looking at about $1,200 per radio. But I can give you, the cost is on the top part there. See 8, and that, so this is. I think it's about 1,200, right? So those are my asks for the capital budget. I had a big one to start off with, so I didn't go. And this was just for discussion. There's no motions for this one, CEO Calder?
Correct. These are just
Conversation pieces.
information on what will be expected in the draft budget for fire services.
Correct. The next one is the status of the bunker gear, which was part of the capital project. All equipment has been received as of last week, actually. So Friday, Sunday, I went and sorted everything out. So now every station has received 8 newer BA and a total of 7 carb tanks. They're going to be another 2-3 years to them, but it's still a great value for what we had. And there was 7 in them that they found that they just donated to us. All the masks were received and sorted and dispersed so that everything will be put in service in the next training night, but everything has been received. We just need to fill out the tanks. Yes, sir. The 8 gears, I am waiting for the 8 bunker gears because there was anything that needs adjustments and shortening or lengthening or anything like that are not off the shelf. It takes a little longer, but we still got it at the same price of 2022. So we still saved that extra money. So that should be in the next 4 weeks, hopefully. And that's the end of my new business. I don't have any correspondence other than the legislation from OFM. We do have new directives. I am meeting with the fire marshal in the next week or so through a webinar. And I'll be sharing that information with you at council. That's it from me, sir. That's it for me, Craig.
Yes, that was the last agenda item through the chair. So if there's nothing further, I will read the adjournment motion. Be it resolved that this meeting adjourn at 7:47 PM. Could I have a mover, please? for Deputy-
It's Deputy Chief Tate.
and could I just do seconded by Deputy Chief Tate, since I've already checked off Deputy Chief Falk for moving? All those in favor?
All in
All
favor?
Carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Craig. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Sure.